And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sonic Labyrinth on the Sega Game Gear. This is a unique Sonic game in that it's a Sonic game where you don't go fast. Yes, you heard me right. It's a Sonic game where you don't go fast. This is in fact a Sonic game where you are forced to move at a snail's pace. This is a Sonic game where we have to basically get chucked into a bunch of mazes, a bunch of labyrinths, if you will. And we basically need to solve each of the labyrinths to progress through. It's actually a very short Sonic game, and a lot of people despise this game. A lot of people really do despise this game, me included. I'm not a big fan. But, yeah, this is the general gameplay. It's on an isometric view, and we basically need to go through each of these mazes collecting keys. Badniks hold keys. Keys are just labelled here and there in the middle of the environment. And we just need to boop the badniks and grab hold of the keys to progress through. And as you can tell, there is actually a timer at the top of the screen, and as you play through each of these labyrinths, the timer will count down. When the timer hits 0, you die. So what you basically need to do is just keep going through here, collecting all the keys, destroying the badniks, and get to the end before the time runs out. It's very simple, actually, but the controls are a little bit take a little bit of getting used to, folks, you know? Because it's not only that Sonic is slow in this particular one, he is slippery. It is so difficult to control him. It is so difficult to get Sonic to go in the direction you want. So you're going to find yourself bouncing off walls all the time. You're going to find yourself slowly doing a standard trog from point A to point B. Now, as you can tell, there is a bit of speed in this game if you do use the spin dash power, which, as you will see me do, I will constantly use throughout the course of the entire playthrough, where you just rev up, and you get a little meter that pops up above Sonic. When the meter is higher, you'll go much faster, you'll go much more speedier. So, there is a spin dash, there is a way to go fast, but for the most part, if you're walking normally, your walking speed is pathetic, and look at this. Gotta go at a moderate pace. Eggman is gotta slow down, I guess. Yay. But, yeah, you have to go through each of these zones, collecting keys and finding goals, and that's basically all there is to it. It's basically a maze game. You just find the way to go. And, you know, in terms of soundtrack, in terms of presentation, it's actually not that bad. It's a pretty well-presented game. The only real issue I kind of have with it is the control. And the fact it is so un-Sonic in its concept. I mean, it's a Sonic game where you go slow, for Christ's sake. It's... Who thought this was a good idea? But there's only 4 main zones in the course of this game, each with about 3 to 4 acts. 3 normal acts and then a boss act, so... Like I said, it's a really short game. This one's a 2-part LP, folks, so... You know, if you don't like seeing this game, don't worry. We'll be seeing it for a grand total of 2 days. One day, which will be the day this LP starts, and the next day where the LP finishes, so don't you fret about that. But yeah, the music's not that bad in this game, and usually you can also get hit by mooks as well that are in the area, and you will usually get hit by mooks. But the only penalty of being hit is your time will go down slightly, just like in Nights into Dreams, and you'll scatter all your keys about, which are easy enough to pick up. Unless, of course, the key falls into a bottomless pit. In that case, the key will respawn to the point where it was originally at. So, yeah, there is that. But in terms of plot, what is the plot of this game, you might be wondering? Because there is a plot. Basically, one night during Sonic's nap, during Sonic's sleep, in his bed, all cozy, all clutched up, Dr. Eggman snuck into his house and saw his shoes. So he had the genius idea. I know. I'll take Sonic's shoes and replace him with super slow sneakers. This way he will be too slow to destroy me and my mooks and my badniks. So basically Dr. Eggman stuck into his house, and instead of doing the sane thing, which would be killing him, he replaced his shoes with slow-down shoes that make Sonic ultra slow. The only thing that Dr. Eggman didn't really count on, however, was the fact that Sonic can spin dash, so Sonic can still access full-blown speed whenever he wants. It's just goddamn annoying to control, that's one thing. But anyway, this is the 4th act of the game. Every 4th act of a zone will be a boss fight. And for this particular boss, all you need to do is rev up your spin dash from the top of the screen. And you just basically need to constantly spin dash until the boss shows up. When the boss himself shows up, just spin dash again into the walls. And oh god, I died. Yeah, it's very easy to die against the boss fights. The bosses are easy, because all you do is spin dash constantly and you'll beat them. But it is easy to die. But basically, to beat that boss fight, you just spin dash off the walls and eventually he'll explode. And every boss has a Chaos Emerald, folks. The Chaos Emeralds are in this game yet again. And what is the purpose of the Chaos Emeralds this time around? Oh, Eggman just sort of happens to have them, so let's go and take them off him, I guess. Ugh. But, yeah, every time you get to a boss arena, you do have a massive opportunity to collect lives and collect tons of rings as well through the massive slope. As in normal Sonic tradition, every 100 rings equals an extra life, so, you know, if you're struggling for whatever reason, you can always pick up an extra life, and, basically, you should never run out of lives in this game, you know, and it's not exactly a hard game. It's not one of the hardest Sonic games to be released. It's just a tedious one. I suppose it's a neat game to have on the bus or something, but I don't know. I don't like this game that much, to be honest, folks. It's just too sluggish to control. Like, the game does so much right, but then it gets the most important thing wrong, the controls. In fact, that's my big reason why I don't like Sonic and the Secret Rings. That game does so much right, but the controls ruin the entire experience for me, but, the less said about Secret Rings, the better. That's probably my least favourite 3D Sonic game. But, again, I'll be talking about that in the future. Of course, needless to say, every zone that you go to will get more and more difficult. You know, they'll get more and more mazy every time you get through. So it can be a little bit treacherous, can be a little bit tricky to figure out when you're meant to be going next. But, you know, as long as you keep an eye out, you should be safe for the most part. These levels aren't particularly big where you'll likely be lost too much. Until the final stage anyway. You're going to find yourself quite easily just sort of trudging around, you know. You don't even need to spam the spin dash like I'm doing. You can just sort of walk very happily to each area. Why aren't I doing that? Because I don't like walking in this game. I'm Sonic the bloody Hedgehog. If I need to go fast, why aren't you going fast, Sonic? Gotta go fast. So, yeah, you basically need to go fast if you're playing a Sonic game. That's usually my mentality, so I'm gonna be spin dashing even though it basically destroys my controls. And in every single zone, obviously, there are 3 keys that you need to collect, and like I said, they're very easy to pick up. It's not exactly a hard game, and obviously it's not a long game either. It's just there. It exists. And I know loads of people would argue this is one of the worst Sonic games out there, and in terms of it being an actual Sonic game, I agree. It is a bad Sonic game. But in terms of a game on its own merits, it's okay. You know, it's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. As a game on its own merits, it's just a basic maze labyrinth game, which, you know, there's a market for, you know, there's a market of people who would like this sort of game. I just don't know what went through Sega's mindset when they said, okay, Sonic goes fast, this take away the fast. Yeah, I never understood that, it's weird. But every now and then as well, you find different splotches on the floors that you can actually bounce on and use them as boost pads. So if you see a splotch, you can walk into it and it'll boost you into a certain area, and that's basically all she wrote. And obviously if you get to the goal without the three keys, you will not be able to enter the goal post, so you'll not be able to complete each of these zones, so make sure you have those keys before you try to exit. Labyrinth of the Z's, Zone 2, Act 2, good rock. And now this is around the time where they start introducing a very annoying gimmick into these particular zones, where they're gonna have all these doorways. These doorways isn't so bad in this particular act, but in later zones, in later acts, the doorways will become your nightmares, because you can enter one doorway, and it'll lead you to a completely randomized area. And if you go back through the exact same doorway you just came through, it will send you somewhere else entirely, so it can be a bit of a nuisance to memorize the map of some of the later levels with the doorways. It's a tedious process that I'm honestly not fond of. I'm not fond of these doors. And honestly, if it weren't for these sort of doorways, just sort of taking up game time and making some of the later zones a bit more of a pain, I'd probably be a little bit more lenient on the game, you know, because in terms of graphics, graphically the game looks fine. It's a Game Gear title, so I can't complain about the graphics too much. There's only one thing that really annoys me about the graphics of this game, and that's just whenever you collect power-ups, which are usually identified by a bunch of triangles on the floor, the screen will attempt its damnedest. Here's one of them now. It will attempt its damnedest to give you a seizure, so usually I'm going to find myself trying to avoid power-ups whenever possible, folks. Because chances are you will get seizures, and it hurts my eyes every time I play this game. I do not like collecting those power-ups. I suppose on the actual Game Gear screen itself, it's not too big a deal, because the Game Gear screen doesn't have a backlight. It's traditional Game Boy, it's traditional handheld in that regard, where there's no backlight, it's just a game screen. But I'll be damned if it's not annoying. It gives you eye problems whenever you play this game. I don't like the power-ups. The power-ups are bad. But in terms of power-ups you normally get, you can get speed shoes, I do believe, which I never noticed the difference. I'm spin dashing everywhere, so I never noticed the difference with the speed shoes. And I think you can get invulnerability as well, which, you know, invulnerability at this point, it makes you invincible, it means your attacks don't hurt you. Bob is your uncle. But yeah. That's all she wrote, really. Anyway, in this particular zone, there is actually a cannon that we just saw to the left-hand side of the screen that we can get to, and that cannon can shoot us to the key that we need, but it also has a secondary function that, honestly, for the life of me, I honestly can't figure out properly, and it just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, where it will send you across to an optional switch. This is the only zone in the entire game that has an optional switch you can go to, but if you go to that optional switch, you'll be able to go into a bonus room, and technically you need to enter this bonus room for the game to be considered 100% complete, folks. This bonus room is very easily missed, and this is the only instance where a bonus room pops up. So what you want to do is basically hold down the spin dash button, I believe, and hold down right on the D-pad, and sometimes the game will decide that it wants to launch you in the right area. I don't know, I always have issues. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but that's usually how I sort of get around to the secret button. You get to the giant cannon, just hold down the button, hold down the D-pad to the right, and eventually it should decide, okay, you want to go to the button now, I'm going to launch you all the way over there. Or you can hit an invisible wall and repeat the entire maze to get back to me again, and then try again, because, it's frustrating. Like I said, this game is probably mostly frustrating just because of the controls. The controls are the worst possible part of the game. But there we go, we press the switch, and now an alternate doorway has opened up at the bottom of the maze that we can go to, and it leads us to a bonus room. Which again, that's how you get 100% completion. The only difference is like one set of words at the end credits, but yeah, this is the bonus room. Every ring is worth 25 rings in here, so if you want extra lives, just go in here, collect as many rings as you can, and you should be great for the extra lives, you know? Not that you really need extra lives in this game anyway, it's a Labyrinth game, for God's sake. But you do have loads of bumpers, you have loads of spinny things that will try to catch you off guard, and boost panels that will boost you in the wrong directions. So you can easily be caught off guard with this one, and of course there are flippers and what have you that can also boop you in the wrong direction as well. But once you're done, jump off the edge of the screen, and there we are, we're chucked back into Zone 2, Act 2. And because we got all the keys, we can just go directly to the end and finish it up. I don't know, I always found it really weird that this is the only zone with a bonus stage like that. And I find it really weird why that's needed for the good ending. No one would figure that out when they're playing the game. No one will figure out, okay, I need to go to hold down the jump button, hold down right at this very precise moment, otherwise I will not be able to beat this game. I don't know, it's weird. But there we go, Labyrinth of the Sea, Act 4. It's time to enter another boss arena. Like I said, every boss arena starts off the same way, rolling down the slope, and this is probably the best part of the entire game. Because you're just going fast. It's a Sonic game where you're going fast in like one instance. I mean, say what you will about Sonic 06 and its Mach speed sections, but at least he moves consistently okay speeds. He's still pretty damn slow in the grand scheme of things in Sonic 06, but, you know, at least throughout the course of the game, he's not too sluggish. There's plenty of other control issues with that game, don't get me wrong, and I'll be talking about them when I LP that game, but that's way down the line. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I mean, we're entire 3 to 5 generations behind Sonic 06 yet in the playthrough, so yeah, but anyway, this boss fight by here, this is a giant crab robot, as you can probably easily tell. All you need to do is wait for his body to open up and spin dash into his shell, and he'll just move from platform to platform, shooting out these pellets at you. You're not likely to get hit by these pellets, so just keep spin dashing into him until he explodes. And there's another Chaos Emerald ripe for the taking. And that's it for this part, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, and I'll catch you all next time in the final part, believe it or not. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you after. Bye!